My name is Juniper, and I would like to welcome you all to our very first live Q&A session about the Bitverse. I am here today with Jorge. Jorge is our Senior Director of Product for the Bitverse. So to set the stage a little bit, Jorge is going to be answering as many questions as he can fit into an hour. And then we will be posting a written version of the answers after we're done today on our Medium blog and in our Discord FAQ for those of you who may not have been able to make it. For this particular session, we won't be taking live questions from the audience, but that's only because we've already received over 100 questions submitted earlier this week that we would like a chance to get through and answer. The great news is that we are going to be hosting these Q&A sessions on a weekly basis going forward. So if you submitted a question and it isn't answered today, there is no need to worry, as we will likely get to it very soon. We will also likely have other guest formats in the future, so we really hope that you'll keep joining us for these really exciting conversations. Okay. So formalities out of the way, I think it's time that we kind of kick things off just so we can try to get to as many questions as possible. Jorge, you ready to go?
Yeah. Thank you very much for the introduction, Juniper. I hope I don't screw up too much today.
Okay, my apologies. I was working through a little bit of technical issues on my side. I'm having some trouble hearing Jorge when he's speaking. That being said, we're still going to just keep the show must go on. So we're going to keep on going. I am going to ask Jorge a question. Trust that all of you are hearing him, and then we'll just kind of keep going back and forth like that. So to get us started, our very first question today is, I have seen Bit Heroes referred to as Bit Heroes RPG in the name of the newly released white paper. What is Bit Heroes RPG, and is this the name of the new game?
Good. So Bit Heroes RPG is actually the new name for the code name that we were using for the existing Bit Heroes, right? We believe though that all games that are part of the Bitverse deserve a name that identifies them and something that helps new players understand the essence of the game. And this is why we think that we're probably going to be renaming the name to Bit Heroes Quest as a name that in a word that perfectly sums up the first game of the Bitverse. So no, it's not a new game. It's our existing Bit Heroes. And moving forward, it will be called Bit Heroes Quest.
Okay, so our next question. Will current Bit Heroes characters be convertible to NFT heroes? If so, is there any advantage to that over creating a brand new hero?
At the moment, these NFTs will be new characters that will be minted during what we're calling the Bit Bank pre-sale. Although we don't rule out the possibility of, in the future, minting existing characters into NFTs. But for the moment, we're going to start with a new set of characters, and the short term, we do not plan to allow existing heroes to become NFTs.
Alrighty, next question. So, what are the specific advantages of using blockchain tech over just using traditional systems? Why is blockchain necessary?
This was a great question because I think there's several advantages for using blockchain. I think we can sum them up in 3. The first one is that it is a technology that already exists and that we can use with relatively easiness. Building something like this by ourselves would have taken potentially years. And we are aware of the current ecological and sustainability concerns, so that's why we're partnering with IMX. As mentioned in the white paper, we want to do this in an ethically responsible way. So this is first reason the tech already exists. The second is that by using the blockchain, right, players will be able to own their items, right? Meaning that they can bring them to more than just one game or just one specific marketplace. And if for any reason in the future the game collapses, which obviously we don't hope that will happen, and we're here because we want Bit Heroes to live for forever. But in case something like that happened at some point, like you would still own your asset. It will be in your wallet. It would not fall with our games. And then I think the third reason is interoperability.
All right. So our next one here, I'm so sorry, I lost it for a second. Why are you making more Bitverse games when Bit Heroes still needs improvement and Bit Heroes Arena is a work in progress?
Okay, I'm gonna apologize here a second for Juniper because she's not hearing me. I know everybody else is doing, and somebody gave her the cue to move to the next question. So I'm gonna finish the previous one quickly. We were talking about the third reason why we want to use blockchain, and that reason was interoperability. Right, not only with other games of the Bitverse, but also the games outside the Bitverse. Interoperability basically means that you can actually take your NFT assets and do something with them somewhere else, right? So it's not only bringing your character from Bit Heroes Quest to Bit Heroes Runner and Bit Heroes Arena. It's also that maybe at some point you might see your character on the board of other CCGs, right? Like we've seen these already happening in the blockchain. It might even become a card in another game that you can use right outside of the Bitverse. So it opens all these wonderful world of possibilities, and it's another reason why we're looking at blockchain. Now, moving to the question that Juniper asked, why are we making more Bitverse games when Bit Heroes still needs improvement? I think I will answer that question with another question, which is why do companies make more games, right? At the end of the day, we are looking to widen the audience. We're looking to reach out to new players, bring them with us, in this journey. And we could have placed our bets on a generic game, some sort of new IP or somewhere else, but we decided to invest in Bit Heroes because we see the potential in it. That is one of our most beloved IPs, right? In terms of Bit Heroes Quest, the answer there is that the game will continue to operate with the same dev team that has been taking care of the game for the last 3 years. And we'll continue to be focused on making the game better, right? I think we can all agree that we've not only added content over the last 3 years since Congregate acquired the title, we've made the whole game better over this time. And I think what's exciting about it is that, regardless of the blockchain layer, there's still a lot of work to do on the game. There's still a lot of things that we can do to make it better, which is, it's great because we never have to, we never reach a point where we stale, right? And basically, I want to also add that as a result of this Bitverse initiative, right, the team is getting additional resources that wasn't getting before. So in a way, this is helping to grow the Heroes Quest. And I'm gonna sound like a grandpa a little bit, but I've personally been involved with Bit Heroes since 2019 as well. Many people don't know that around April of 2020, the game was on the verge of collapsing. It took us an insane amount of work and love to stabilize the game. Came from a really rough period for the economy of the game. Almost, it lost a lot during those months. And also that the game was going through the Unity port that was taking longer than we expected. That forced us to pause development. And we still managed to bring several cool improvements, make the game better, bring more content and zones, and finalize them, right? And for me personally, I had to take over the game over this period. And it has become very important and special for me. It's a very special part of my life. I've been playing Bit Heroes for these 3 years. I've never stopped playing. I'm not as, and I've never cheated. I've never given myself any gems or anything. So I'm in the Discord. I'm close to the community, even if sometimes I'm invisible. And anyway, as we were laying out our plans for 2022, I had this crazy idea for the Bitverse, right? It's a beloved IP. It has a great community behind it, and Congregate was kind of foolish enough to let me run with it. And hey, I'm a tech enthusiast. I believe in the good side of the blockchain, right? And I'm incredibly excited about the future and what it holds for Beat Heroes. I'm excited about making new games, bringing new players, pushing the IP towards the future. And I think it's a great time to be playing Beat Heroes. That was a lot of time of me talking. Sorry.
No, it's like I said, we're just going to keep having more and more of these sessions in the future. So more information is, I think, a great thing. Our next question, though, moving right along, is going to be: can there be Bit Heroes without NFTs?
Yeah, so in the sense of can there be a Beat Heroes game without NFTs? The answer would be yes. At the same time, the game would not receive these extra resources that we've been talking about, right? And it will be put in what we often refer as maintenance mode, where it's just about adding content, fixing bugs and almost nothing else, right? Uh, Thanks to the effort of the internal team, we were able to keep it alive, and now, and it's it's a complicated answer at the end of the day, but because it's probably something that not a lot of people want to hear. But yeah, that is the truth. Yes, there could be like a Beat Heroes game without NFTs, but the support that it will receive will be far less.
All right, now this next one is a little bit of a longer question, so bear with me. All right, so if I read the announcement correctly, will there be NFT exclusive items in Bit Heroes that can potentially be transferred between games? Assuming that's the case, how powerful are they expected to be? I and a few people have talked and are a bit apprehensive about potentially very powerful items being in the game that you can only get by spending.
So we don't plan to create exclusive NFT items. The way to create an NFT item requires the non-NFT version of that item, which means that all of those items will live in the game and will be obtainable by anyone. The main difference is that if you mint that item, you'll be able to own it and trade it. Now, that being said, that also means that we're gonna stick to the existing rarities. We're not gonna add anything on top of this, right? It's that layer of asset ownership and transferability. And then talking about the transferability between games, even though at the beginning we thought about having NFTs with different kind of stat sets across the different games, we kind of backtrack a little bit, and now we're talking more about the cosmetic side of the item, right? So if I own Comet Fill, the NFT version of Comet Fill in Heroes Quest, I will be able to use the cosmetic of that sword in Beat Heroes Runner. Hopefully that answers the question. So power going to be the same that it exists today in Beat Heroes, and transferability is going to be cosmetic, at least at this point.
Awesome. So moving right along onto, we got a lot of questions about this particular one. So talking a little bit about the environment. So given that deforestation is on the rise on a global scale, how can blockchain technologies remain sustainable? Your blockchain partner, IMX, says it will offset their carbon footprint until 2025. What happens after that year to keep the game carbon neutral?
I think this is a question that we have directed at IMX. They have plans to extend that beyond 2025 to start with. But on top of that, also their technology is incredibly efficient. We'll share a post when we put the Q&A session online, for everyone to read. from IMX that explains a little bit like how it works, how everything works. But essentially, IMX consumes 475,000 times less energy than Ethereum, which is quite a lot. So we are not concerned about their commitment to the environment. They are carbon neutral. They're committed to be like that, and on top of that, their tech is just insanely efficient.
Awesome. So Valve, talking about our Steam, our presence on Steam a little bit. Valve doesn't allow games with NFT and blockchain. If you lose Steam, will you be looking for alternative platforms?
So I think there's a little bit of confusion in terms of what Steam lets us and doesn't let us do. Steam doesn't let games kind of sell NFTs through their platform, right? It doesn't say anything about people playing with NFTs on their platform. So as long as the minting process and the transactions process all happens outside of Steam, we will be compliant with their policies. And you know, if they change their policies, we'll keep an eye on that. We plan to remain on Steam, and we will be compliant. We also have backup plans.
Okay, and now moving on to chat a little bit about how the free-to-play experience works with NFTs. So how do Congregate's NFTs enhance the experience for free-to-play Bit Heroes players?
That's a good question as well. I think it boils down at the end of the day to, you're gonna get more games around the Bit Heroes IP that you can engage with. You're gonna get more features as a result of this investment across all those games. So even if you don't engage with Runner, Arena, and the others that are yet to come, you'll get more features on Quest just because of this. There will be more people and players in the ecosystem, right? And free-to-play players will have the ability to earn NFTs if they want, right? Which is something that wasn't previously possible without spending. So I think at the end of the day, we're trying to support all aspects of our games. We're trying to make the experience better for everyone. And for example, one very specific thing that we're working towards is, and that is very tangible, is the Bitverse.io site, right? We plan to build that as a platform where everyone can play all the games in just one single place. It has kind of features that are Bitverse related in there, right? So I think it's going to be a unique experience, and I'm super excited to see it unfold.
All right. And talking about Bit Heroes, will the development team remain the same size for Bit Heroes going forward?
I think I partially answered this before, but the short answer to that is yes, and it's also going to grow as a result of this investment. On top of that, all blockchain tasks are going to be managed by new resources who are working independently, but in conjunction at the same time with the Bit Heroes Quest team, right? So we have basically the way we're organized. We have an internal team that we're calling like a central team that is supporting Arena, Runner, and Quest, and that are building all these features for those games. Again, that means that the support will continue for Bit Heroes. We'll bring Bit Heroes Quest. We'll bring new and exciting features to the game. The content will still be rolled out. I think World Boss is the one that the team is focusing on right now after delivering Zone 17, sorry, and we're gonna keep pushing from that front. So the game is still developing as normal.
Okay. So how will the blockchain verify transactions, is this going to be through proof of work or is it going to be through proof of stake?
So that is a very technical question. I'm happy, I hope to have our CTO around today to answer it. So I'll try to do it the best way I can. But it's neither of those, not exactly. So IMX uses what they call validity-based proof, right? Which means that your assets can never be traded without your permission, which is kind of the same security measure that Ethereum main chain uses. And that means that your items can never be taken from you either. So it's more secure and it's different from those two. On top of that, IMX also uses something called CK rollup, which takes thousands of off-chain trades, right, and creates a proof that these trades were all valid, and then publishes that proof on-chain, where it's then verified by a smart contract. Through this process, the on-chain users' assets are held in the smart contract and can only be released after a valid proof, including the assets that have been published in the batch. That was too technical. I had to read the second part. I think the important part of here is the validity-based proof and the CK rollup.
I think in the future too, we'll be having more Q&A sessions that are a little bit more, excuse me, that are a little bit more like a little bit more technically focused on the NFT side of things. So if that one seemed like a little bit deep of an answer for some people, don't worry. This isn't going to be the only time that we talk about it. Moving on to our next question real quick. So what steps will be taken on Congregate's end to ensure that scamming won't happen?
Great question as well. I think we touched a little bit on that on the previous one. So through validity-based proof, again, your assets can never be traded without your permission, right? And I would be a little bit more comfortable with our CTO here, but our intention is to first, if there's any problem at any point, we will always jump into the community here for any authenticity checks. And while this is a very real threat, we'll be completely transparent on our contract addresses, wallets, etc. If somebody is concerned about Bitverse being a scam on itself. So everything is kind of very transparent to everyone. And I'm not the most technical guy here. It's difficult for me to talk about the tech side of this. I can talk about the product side and the community aspect a little bit more.
Of course.
So sorry if the answer is not the best.
No, we understand. As everyone here is aware, we of course had to do a brief pause on our Q&A session. We had to push it back by about an hour because we did have somewhat of a personal emergency that happened. So that is why Max isn't with us today, just as a quick explanation for everyone. But I think that was a great answer, Jorge. We'll just keep on going. So let's see, where are we up to? Will my hero be saved if the company goes under?
Yes, it's on the blockchain, right? On a blockchain. So that means that as long as you have your wallet, you have your NFT, which is what we were talking a little bit about, right? It brings asset ownership. It brings true player agency, where you own the items that you purchase, right? You can take them to other marketplaces. Like IMX supports more than 5 or 6 marketplaces at the moment, and you could even transfer your assets to other chains, though that would be a little bit more expensive, but that would still be a possibility. It's yours. It's on your wallet. So it won't go anywhere.
So you're saying if NFTs were to, let's say, become outlawed in the future, how would that maybe affect Bit Heroes?
The game will continue to exist, right? We will. It's a very theoretical question. We will need to see what the options are there. and what can we do, but I wouldn't be more concerned about the viability of the game long term.
Awesome. So, like this is a fun one. Do you feel that blockchains are ethical?
I think that everything, they are a tool, and it depends on how the tool is used. I feel like over the last couple of years, we've seen a lot of ill-intended use cases, right? We've seen a lot of scams. We've seen a lot of projects that are, there's a white paper and then the developers disappear with the money or whatever they raised. And there's been people stealing art from artists and selling that as NFTs. And that has created a lot of, negativity around the blockchain. And, it's logical. But as I was saying, I am a believer on the tech, on what it enables us to do, right? Again, asset ownership, transferability of those assets between different games, and not only from the Bitverse, but maybe also to other games that decide to interoperate with our metaverse, right? Like all of those things, I would say are ethical, and as I mentioned, we partnered with somebody who's concerned about the environment and who shares our similar values and vision. So again, I think that's the bottom line. It's a tool, and it depends on how it's used. And we plan to use it for fun. We plan to use it for the community, and yeah, that's the answer.
Wonderful. So, we've had a few people that were a little bit confused taking a look at Congregate's terms of service. Basically, under our current terms of service, you agree not to transfer or resell your account. So if I were to sell my NFT hero, do I automatically break the terms of service?
Nope. Your account is your account, and your NFT hero or NFT item is something that lives in your account. So the only thing that will be transferred is that sub piece of your account. So you won't be breaking the terms of service. That's the short answer.
Awesome. So let's go on here. Why advocate for blockchain services and NFTs when the Independent Game Developers Association has said to stop?
So first of all, I think this was in July of 2021. And since then, there's been plenty of new successful ventures, right, that have launched. Again, it's about how you use the tech and the intent behind its use. So I think we know how to make this fun and a better experience for more players. The IGDA continues to change their stance and tone on this subject. So, looking at the latest statements from last month, they said that developers that absolutely can't use a centralized database for their projects should at least use proof of stake or cross-ecosystem NFTs. Those systems, which let users stake their cryptocurrency to help validating transactions, are far more energy efficient than proof of work algorithms and should be preferred whenever possible. Again, I think I read this from their statement, and again, it changes, like their stance on this changes, so we're keeping an eye on it. But we believe that it's about how the tech is used fundamentally.
All right. So, talking about the somewhat immutable nature of the blockchain, if an NFT item is bugged, how will it be fixed? The blockchain is immutable.
I like the pun there with mutable X. So items can be patched at any time. And heroes, yeah, if there's a bug, right, it's on the game level, and it can be easily addressed. At the end of the day, you have ownership over your asset, and it includes the metadata from the game. but that metadata can be edited, and it comes from the client, right? The client being the game itself. So again, it's very easily addressed if there's a bug with any NFT item, and we'll be able to correct it quickly. Yeah, and finally, I think we have a strong community management, and our player experience team always supports the community the best that they can. So I would rest assured here, in the sense that we'll catch up any bugs quickly and we'll fix them, and it won't affect your NFT.
Awesome. We do like to think that we are a little bit cool over here on the community side of things. Thank you, Jorge. All right. So again, this next one is a little bit of a longer one, so bear with me. The burn mechanics section of the white paper reads as if it's an open-ended threat to consumers. I quote, "We intend to incentivize avatar owners to stay participants in the Bitverse or trade their avatars to players who are interested in being a part of it. If a user that owns a Bit Heroes NFT item goes inactive and no longer plays the game, do the burn mechanics give Congregate the legal ability to revoke ownership in some scenarios?"
So this is one that I knew was going to be a little bit, that was going to be asked. So we are exploring what to do with burn mechanics. At the end of the day, we're only going to be minting a set amount of NFT heroes, right? What we would like to avoid is for those Bit heroes to be sitting in wallets forever. They will become very sad, and people at the end of the day will probably want to use them, right? So what we're trying to do here is find ways to incentivize owners to keep playing the games, right? And that means that we're exploring burn mechanics. Now, in terms of what we'll do there, it's not clear at the moment. We will share that with the community. We will run it by you guys as well, and we'll make a decision. Right? It can be, worst case scenario would be something like if you don't play with your with your NFT hero for a certain amount of days, then it gets put back into a marketplace, or it gets sent to a wallet that nobody has access and gets burned, so we can mint a new one, or something like that. But again, it's not set in stone. We know it's harsh, so we want to make sure that we are not, kind of harming our players. What we want essentially is to make it fun for everyone and keep those heroes around.
Awesome. All right. So this next one, I do not ethically support blockchain services in gaming. With all that said, will I be able to continue playing the game and participating in Bit Heroes community events without being forced to make a wallet or receive event prizes in the form of tokens or NFTs? I'm worried that all future events will only pay rewards, such as speedrun cosmetics, as an example, as NFTs to try to inflate service usage.
Gotcha. Okay. This layer of blockchain is going to be built on a way that it's optional to engage with, which means that you won't be forced to create a wallet. So, the systems will be isolated, and you won't be forced to participate in any of our blockchain initiatives. So you can still play Beer Heroes Quest the way that you've always played.
Awesome. We love to hear it. All right. A feature of NFT ownership is 1v1 betting, with your target audience being 13 plus. How is this not the same as introducing children to gambling?
So this is a concern that we share. At the end of the day, in order to get crypto, you need to have a viable mean of payment, right? And follow local regulations. These safeguards are highly likely to deter underage usage. So we are leaning towards that. We're exploring, there's a lot of countries, there's a lot of regulations. We're exploring if this is not the case somewhere, so we can put more measures in place. But so far, there's already plenty of kind of barriers in between that audience and the feature.
Awesome. All right. So we have two. These are kind of curveballs for you, Jorge. So I do apologize, but I think you'll be able to handle them just fine. How many avatars can be bought?
There's no limit to the purchase amount. Besides the amount of avatars that we are gonna mint. So for that pre-sale, that Bitbank pre-sale that I've been talking about, I think it's in the white paper. If it's not, I can share it now. There's gonna be 10,000 NFT avatars, NFT heroes. So if you want to buy them all, you could buy them.
So I could get all 10,000? Or am I not allowed?
Yeah, potentially, yes.
All right. And actually, our last question for the day, we've managed to get through a ton really quickly. So thank you so much, Jorge. Our last one for the day is actually going to be just kind of a fun one. How many people are actually working on the Bitverse project?
Cool. I would need to count, but there's more than 50 people working over these projects. And these are people who are directly working on them, right? Because of how the company works, we have some shared resources, right? Like marketing folks and insights folks. So direct developers working on making this happen, 50, more than 50 across, the 3 games plus the web plus that internal team that I talked about.
All right. So we are wrapping up just a little bit earlier than we were expecting, but that's okay because, like I said, we are going to be back next week to answer more questions. For those of you that haven't had a chance to do so yet, in the announcement section, you can find a link to submit questions for upcoming Q&A sessions. And we will just keep on getting you guys the information that you need to keep having a great time in the Bitverse. So again, Jorge, thank you so much for taking the time to answer questions today. And a huge thank you to everybody in the audience who is taking the time out of their day to come and listen and hang out. We are so excited to be here. We're so excited to be sharing this project with all of you. And yeah, so here is to the future of the Bitverse. We will see you all soon, and thank you all so much again.
Thank you, Jennifer. Thank you, everyone. I hope it was fun for you.